You see my Christmas tree in the back? How cute. Okay. Don't look at my posture. Stop. Getting out the wine. Also, they look worse than I thought. I did a lip stain. I did a lip stain on my lips and it really stained them. And I use this every day. I don't know why it did that today. I don't know. So that's why my lips look like poop. Again? Sorry, you just missed the pour. It's a fatty glass of wine. Am I gonna finish it? Probably not. Tomorrow's my birthday. And it's like an hour until my birthday. Hold on, let me set you up. Okay. I think that's a good spot. It's really dark. Tomorrow is my... I just actually look insane. I can't get over the lip stain. It looks crazy. Probably not as bad as I think. Interesting. Okay, anyways. Tomorrow is my 22nd birthday, which means that in an hour, it'll be my 22nd birthday. And I wanted to make a video, honestly, more for myself. Okay, I'm hot, sorry. Honestly, more for myself than anything else. I wanted to make a video, basically talking about the things I feel like I've learned in my... It's not working. I wanted to make a video talking about all of the things I feel like I've learned in my 22nd year of life, or in my 21st year of life, before I turned 22. And when I was younger, I used to write stuff down throughout the year that I felt like I was learning. And I didn't do that this year or last year. And as I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think, what are all the things I've learned? What are all the things I've learned? And I maybe think that as we get older, there's less lessons to be learned, or they're just less drastic. I've definitely learned a lot this year. And I think it's a lot of little lessons that have honestly just changed who I am as a person, because instead of me, but having learned all these lessons, it's me becoming a better person. But there was one thing that really stuck out as I was thinking, what are the things I've learned? What are the things I've learned? And I really want to talk about it. This wine just smells weird. Tastes fine. Does it? Why does it taste chocolatey? I also just oil pulled and it's peppermint flavored, so this is like giving peppermint wine. Maybe that's why. Oh, look at my little doggy. The biggest thing I've learned being 22. I'm not 22. The biggest thing I've learned being 21. And mind you, I got married when I was 20, and then 5 months later I turned 21. So most of my marriage, I have been 21. So I don't know if it's necessarily my first year and a half of marriage teaching me this. Definitely, that's a big part of it. But my 21st year, learned a lot. And the biggest thing, and I'm still learning this, is that it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to apologize, and it's okay to apologize even if you don't think you are wrong. Essentially learning how to be the bigger person and learning how to say sorry. Because first of all, I think we live in a world that doesn't like to say sorry. People hold grudges, people hold unforgiveness, and it's making people sick. Second of all, I grew up in a family that didn't really say sorry. We didn't really have those conversations. We just kind of went behind closed doors, waited until enough time had passed that we were over it enough to just pretend it didn't happen and then move on. Well, now I'm married to a very healthy, loving man who wants to work things out with me, and I don't know how. And I didn't know how. In fact, this year is the first time I was able to say in an argument, I'm sorry, and mean it. And that sounds insane. Like, that actually sounds insane. But it's such a big deal for me. Like, to actually mean it when you're heated. And honestly, I'm used to being an angry person, letting myself be angry. So teaching myself to take a deep breath and remember, like, this is the person that I love, has been a really big thing for me at the age of 21. And honestly, I'm making this video, and really all these videos, but I'm making this video for myself so I can look back and remember how I learned and went through fighting to be a forgiving and loving and gentle and kind person, because my default emotion is anger, because that's what I grew up with. And so learning how to pause and choose to not be angry is a really huge deal. And I don't think this is talked about enough. And I think part of the reason for that is that, like I said, people are okay with being angry. As a lover of Jesus and a lover of the people around me, I'm not okay with that. I am trying to be the kind of person who is gentle and forgiving and kind. And I want that to be the impact I make on people. And sometimes that is not the impact I make on people. So that is what I've been working on, and that's a lot of what I have been learning. Today I'm learning that wine does not taste good after you've essentially used mouthwash. We're gonna retire that for right now. What else am I learning? I'm learning that life is really hard. I have gone through a lot in the last few years, and 21 was no exception. I think the hardest part of this year was probably getting married and learning how to have a good, healthy relationship. And that is not a bad, like, hardship, but it was really hard. And there were a lot of sleepless nights and arguments and tears and straight up, like, it's just hard. And I will be the first to admit that 95% of that was my fault, because I was not willing to humble myself. On the flip side, I think lack of humility has a lot to do with insecurity. I think people put on that front of, like, pride because they're actually insecure. And by people, I mean me. Did you see that? There's actually a, like, gnat. So I'm learning, like I said, I can be wrong. And I'm a perfectionist. So for me to be able to admit that I'm wrong has been really hard. I think overcoming perfectionism is going to be one of the biggest mountains that I will climb. And I'm willing to die on that mountain. But I'm going to climb it as much as I can, because I don't want my life to be ruled by perfectionism and thinking that I have to be perfect, and holding others to that standard and thinking that life has to go in this perfect, precise order. So to my future self, your life is not going to go in this perfect, precise order. There's not going to always be a wrong that leads to another wrong, or a right that leads to a right, or a certain pattern that things go, or because this happened, this is why you are where you are. Life just happens. Everyone makes decisions. God's will always be done for your life in the way that he needs it to. God's will never fail you. That being said, there are consequences for your actions, but stop trying to write your own story. Let it be learned for you. That's not what I meant to say. Let God do it for you and let you just learn along the journey. Enjoy the journey. Life is not supposed to be miserable all the time. It does not have to be miserable all the time. And there will be seasons that feel miserable and there's going to be nothing you can do about that. And there's seasons that will feel miserable and there is something you can do about that. You can always at least try to choose good and try to follow God's plan for your life. And what I have also learned this year is that there is no peace like God's peace. Because this year I also decided to hold a grudge with God. And the times in my life recently where I have held a grudge with God and felt so much shame that I wouldn't talk to God or go to him or truly surrender have been the loneliest, most anger, rage-filled, most confusing, most depressing, anxious months of my life. It doesn't mean I'm all past it and I'm great with God now, but I'm walking with God. And I think I was heavily reminded how much we truly need Jesus. And I'm not sitting here to try to preach to you. This is me talking to my future self because this is what I'm learning as a human being walking through this life. So understanding that you may be watching this video right now, know that this is literally just me talking to me. Be willing to let go of the things that are not for you. And you know what those things are because you have discernment and you know when it's right and you know when it's wrong. And it's gonna hurt a lot less if you trust that instinct the first time, not the fifth, and then have to grieve all the things you didn't let go of. I'm reminded of that poem. And I don't have the whole poem memorized, but I know it starts with, everything I've ever let go of, I left with claw marks. And that is how I felt with most anything or anyone in my life, is that I'm so desperate to keep everything and everyone, and I don't want them to leave me, and I don't want change, and I don't want growing pains. So I will literally claw onto and try to hold on to things that I know are not meant for me. I know they're not meant for me. And in my 22nd year of life, I want to grow in that way. Get better at letting go of what's not for me, letting go of the habits and things that I know are not helping me grow. That's a hard one. And allowing myself to rest in what I know is good and true and right, and not in the things that I know are not for me. God has worked out a lot of plans for my life this year that I didn't think I would see worked out anytime soon. The biggest question of my life the past few years has been, what am I going to do with my life? Forever, I thought I was going to be a songwriter, and I knew that I didn't have the drive or the passion for performing that it took. And I knew I didn't. Or the voice. But I had the opportunity. And for so long, I tried to go for that. And it's the same thing. I was gripping onto that, knowing it wasn't meant for me. And finally this year, I was able to just surrender that and allow songwriting to be something that I love and hold dearly. And maybe will share with people one day. But allow myself to move on and do something that I know I love. And I'm going to design school in the spring, which I'm so super excited about. I have always had a passion for design and creating and interior design and art in general and making something beautiful. And just actually, for an early birthday present, my husband got me Kelly Wearstler books. I think that's how you say her name. She's one of my favorite interior designers, and he got me a couple of her books, and I freaking love them so much. He's the best, and it was the best gift, and it was the most thoughtful gift. I literally mentioned her name one time. I didn't even think that he remembered who that was. So when I opened that, it was really special. But I just love that guy. Anyway, I'm so excited to go to design school in the spring. I'm really proud of myself because I studied really, really, really hard to pass the math placement test that I was not, like, for skills I was never taught. But I will make another video, kind of a life update about school, but I'm just really excited that God has worked out the plan for at least now. You know, I don't know what the future holds. I'll probably be watching this a year from now, like, laughing at myself, but I'm really, really excited, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be right now, and that's all that matters. Finally feeling at home in our beautiful home. We bought a house about this time last year, and finally feeling settled in and at home. So these are just some of the little things, big things, takeaways from my 21st year of life. Also, alcohol is really bad for you. I'll throw that in there as I'm like sipping on a glass of wine. Don't get addicted to alcohol. I don't know who needs to hear that, but if you're going into your 21st year of life, don't go crazy. It is not a habit that needs to be normalized. Go have a drink or two with some girlfriends. Have a good time. Don't get drunk. It's not worth it. Okay. Yeah. I have probably like 30 minutes until I'm 22. And that feels crazy. But here's to 22. Goodbye and much love to 21. Today is November 19th, almost November 20th, 2024. The time is like probably 11:30 p.m. And tomorrow's Wednesday, my birthday. Excuse me. I will see you guys later.